術式順天青
Hello everyone, my name is Troy and welcome to Maximum Output Training. Welcome to Dynamic Effort Upper. Dynamic Effort Upper, as I'm going to put in quotations. We are still working back up to working weight for bench press. And as you can see, the straight bar is back in rotation. I actually was using the arch bar for about a couple weeks there, roughly, maybe a week. And that felt okay. But then I did some outside curricular experimentations out of lifting. And I tried to play around with the straight bar once again. And I recently discovered in the two experiments, I didn't use it for like working weights because I started close grip last week in terms of like acclimating back to the weights that I've been using before. But you're still working with a bum shoulder. It's slowly, ever so fucking slowly getting better. I had to change up my prehab, warm-up stuff for my shoulder, but I'll get into that later. So we're using straight bar. We're doing close grip today. Sets of 3 at 115 pounds. And as of this acclimation period for the last 2 weeks, we are trying to figure out how to bench again. So we are experimenting for the next while as I relearn how to bench, because how I used to bench is not going to cut it anymore, because I used to set the bar like this across my palm where it kind of flares my elbows out, so that way I can kind of like stack my joints in a different way. But I recently discovered that if I kind of change the bar to around where this crease of my hand is, or this big fatty part in my palm is, and I grip it super tight and crank my elbows in a little bit more, not only do I feel it a little bit more in my triceps, but I also feel the stress off my shoulder is off a little bit more. And we are doing heels up for leg drive since I'm relearning how to bench, so I might as well just bring that into play. And even though it is only 150 pounds, roughly 50, maybe less than 50% of my 1 rep max for close grip. Yeah, we're just going to relearn how to bench altogether. And I'll take you along for the ride whenever I do a dynamic effort upper. Yeah, so the idea going forward is to strengthen muscles that are super weak, rehab broken muscles and joints or broken body parts, and to hopefully get stronger and build some muscle. So I have a lot of goals going on, and hopefully they all like kind of correlate together and try to get better as a lifter. So let's get to our first set, 150 pounds for sets of 3. And you're gonna see my weird setup is gonna be the same, but you can probably see that my elbows are not as flared out. They're more cranked in because I think my elbows were too flared out. And what I was doing is just kind of like doing this in a way. But what I'm really doing this time around is gripping the bar and actually squeezing the shit out of the bar. Where if you kind of recall, like in the early 2010s, like 2012-ish era, everyone said that you had to like bend the bar so you can kind of like pre-activate like your muscles and stuff like that. What I'm doing is just gripping the shit out of the bar and just cranking my elbows. So in a way, I'm kind of like doing the cue of bending the bar in half. But all I'm doing is just squeezing the bar and cranking my elbows in a little bit harder so they're not as flared out. So yeah, let's do it. First set. Okay, that felt a little weird on the shoulder. I think I need to like squeeze my shoulder blades a little bit harder. And so they're not flared up like this on my traps. They're more like depressed down, and that could get into a better position. So I'm gonna rest a little bit. I'll catch you for the next set. All right, set number 5 is what I'm doing. Did some sets in between the first set and obviously now. Still trying to feel and find my groove for benching. Heels up and doing leg drive that way feels pretty good. The ass on the bench situation, I will have to figure it out, but I can feel like my leg drive and really pushing into the ground a little bit more, but it could be placebo because I'm doing something different and it feels good at the same time. So we'll figure that out. And really cranking my elbows in a little bit more than I normally have and squeezing the shit out of the bar taking pressure off the shoulder, but it's only 115 pounds. So it's not really beating up my shoulder in the way if I was doing like heavier weights for sets of 3, but also doing sets of 3 like I normally would in a regular conjugate training cycle does help. Instead of just doing like 3 sets of 8, I would do 8 sets of 3. So I get little breaks in between. I'm not just hammering and beating the shit out of my shoulder. That's the way I'm thinking about it right now. So that way I can keep the reps and set scheme the same. And the only thing that I only have to worry about is weight and the pain in my shoulder. So I don't have to change much, and I can slowly acclimate with the bench in this regard. So figuring out hand position. So instead of cranking, holding it this way where it's across and that just kind of sits here, which helps flare your elbows out. So if you need to stack your joints a little bit better, you can try it this, but that kind of hurts this shoulder and I don't want to be lopsided. So now instead of going this way, I'm going a little bit more up where the crease of like where you bend your palm, and this big meaty part is kind of where I'm trying to meet it at. Squeeze the shit out of it, and instead of my elbows flaring out, they're coming back in. So that's the whole idea. And doing heels up for leg drive. So relearning how to bench feels pretty good. I feel a lot more in my triceps. Probably this is the way I should have been benching for the last like 12 years, but I'm an old dog learning new tricks. I'm kidding on the old dog thing for the people that are over 30. I don't feel old. I'm just broken. And I hate it so much, but it is what it is. I've been broken since 2020 when I messed up my back. So let's do this. That feels pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. But once again, this is all like the first week I'm actually trying to implement heels up leg drive, cranking my elbows in, squeezing the shit out of the bar, and really putting an emphasis on the bar being placed a little bit differently. So this is just like early experimentation. So the placebo part of it is going to be playing a part, because when you experience something new and it feels good, you think it's going to be a lot better than your previous or expectation or your previous thing you were doing before. So I'm trying to not inflate or have my hopes up too high, saying this is going to be the bench press for me, but this is the experimentation of what I'll be doing for the future. So always experiment, see what works for you, and try not to get hyped up in the placebo, I guess, part of it, because you're trying something new, and that always gets everyone excited when you try something new or get something new. So just kind of do your best to be level-headed and keep going at it and see if it keeps working. And then who knows, maybe in time you relearn how to do a certain movement pattern, and that becomes ingrained as your new competition style, stance or grip or technique and form. So yeah, I'm gonna take a break and I'll catch you for the last set of this exercise. So see you then. Last and final set of close grip bench press at 115 pounds for sets of 3. Shoulder is feeling pretty good considering I'm still doing the same weight as I did last week. The only difference is from last week I did 5 sets of 5, and this week I'm doing sets of 3. And I don't want to say the big difference is the sets of 5 versus the 3, because I'm doing roughly the same amount of reps that I did last week. I'm doing 9 sets of 3. So I'm just trying to spread it out and see if that works. But yeah, it feels pretty good. I don't want to say the new technique. Like I said, this is still experimentation. So placebo and like the feeling good and excitement of trying something new. I'm trying not to get too ahead of myself, but to be honest, it feels pretty good. I feel a lot more in the triceps, and I don't want to say it's because of close grip. Maybe it's just my form of technique is a little bit different. So we're going to finish strong, finish this last set, still feeling pretty good, because last week when I did 5 sets of 5 at 115, my shoulder's taken quite the beating, but I didn't implement the new stuff or trying the new things that I did this week versus last week. Last week, I did the stuff of trying to change my hand position on the barbell, but I didn't try to change elbow positioning or anything like that. I did try heels up for leg drive to see if that would help. But other than that, it still felt the same afterwards because my shoulder was in pain. So we'll see how it goes. Last and final set, and I'll see you for the next accessory. Actually, I'll talk to you, and then we'll see you for the next accessory. That feels fucking phenomenal. I didn't feel it in my shoulder at that time. I felt a little bit more in my pec. So we're gonna just keep going here, keep experimenting. Next week, probably keep the reps and sets the same and slowly bump up the weight, see how that goes. And then take it from there, hopefully implement it into like max effort stuff, because I was playing with wide grip arch bar. And I think that was probably like a terrible idea because with the neutral grip and everything like that. So I think the elbow flaring situation, instead of having them flared out, cranking them in helped a lot. So we'll see how it goes. I can take a break and I'll see you for the next accessory. All right, barbell accessory, as always, especially within the conjugate program of how I write it out. But since I'm trying to avoid too much pressing movement in regards to bench press, like doing like heavier weights and doing different variations, especially like two board stuff, because that's more of an overloading tricep exercise. So we're going to drop it back. I'm implementing overhead press for the time being. It sounds really counterproductive because I have an injured shoulder, but this does not piss it off as much as you would think. And because of this, last week, I discovered that cranking my elbows in helped a lot with not pissing off my shoulder. So we're going to implement the overhead press, not in terms of building my shoulders, which is always a plus anyways, but it's to help strengthen my shoulders. So I think not doing a whole bunch of overhead pressing movements for a while just maybe contributed to this injury here, even though it was more of a lifestyle thing. Like I didn't injure it in the gym, I injured it outside of the gym. I think I just like moved incorrectly and it was the accumulation of different things and my shoulder just had enough. So this is to build my shoulders up in terms of muscle and strengthening the actual shoulder joint itself. And then hopefully it carries over to a nice bench press and to relieve a lot of pain in my shoulder. So a lot of stuff I have goal-wise for fitness-wise besides building strength and muscle, but hopefully strengthening the muscles that I believe are super weak right now and rehabbing stuff that is pissed off at the moment. So like my shoulder and my bicep. So yeah, let's get to it. Overhead press, sets of 5 at 55 pounds. Remember, slowly easing into it. I haven't done overhead press for sets in a long time, but also doing this doesn't piss off my shoulder, so which is always a plus in my opinion. So let's get to it. Feels pretty good. I always love doing overhead press. It's not something I do a whole lot because I'm always just trying to build a bench press. But since I am incapacitated at the moment, we're gonna do overhead press, see if I can strengthen my overhead press and beat 135 pounds, which would be sweet as fuck. So we're gonna keep going and I'll see you for the next accessory. Overhead press done. Felt pretty good on the shoulder, to be honest, and actually felt like pain dissipate as I did them a little bit more, especially towards the end of the exercise in terms of sets. So after I completed my sets of overhead press, I felt like my shoulder was like not hurting. So that's always good. Now, incline dumbbell press, sets of 15 this week, upping it from 12 from last week, I believe. Yes, 12, 10 or 12. Still sticking with 35 pounds, still trying to acclimate in terms of weight and slowly build up from there. Obviously 35 pounds is pretty light, but I'm keeping this in mind. So we're focusing on form, technique, and a light pause at the bottom, and I feel a nice stretch, which felt pretty good because last week when I did these for sets of 12, it actually felt nice on the shoulder as well. So I'm just trying to be a little bit more in control of the weight. Feels a nice stretch at the bottom. I don't know if the stretch helped with the shoulder mobility or whatever, but it felt nice after I did the exercise and was away from lifting for about a couple hours afterwards, and my shoulder wasn't hurting. So it could be attributed to a lot of things. Remember, I'm trying to keep my head down and not my hopes as high as I would like them to be. So I'm just trying to, I guess that would be humble in a way. So yeah, let's do it. This is my last set, sets of 15, 35 pounds, incline dumbbell press. That felt really good on the pec. Keeping it light, practicing form technique and a nice stretch pause at the bottom. So obviously for sets of 15, I'm not going to bother going up to 18 because I think I just get super tired afterwards. So we're going to up the weight just a smidgen for next week and probably hit 40 pounds or maybe 45 pounds, depending on how I'm feeling. And we'll go from there. So I'm going to take a breather and I'll see you for the last accessory. It's most likely going to be the next accessory because why not? Everything else stays mostly the same. So catch you for that. Last and final exercise of the video, last accessory, and we'll be doing dips. So for some people, dips hurt the shoulder, hurt the elbows, but still, once again, this grip closer in always felt a little bit better than wider grip. I'm still playing around with between closer and wider grip. I just change it up depending on how I feel or depending on the training cycle. So we're gonna go a little bit closer grip, keep my elbows in, and yeah, try to build triceps. And I did these last week. It didn't piss off my shoulder, but we'll see how about this week because I changed a whole bunch of things. So sets of 10, body weight. Oh, also when I put BW in the beside the exercise, BW means body weight. So if you don't know, now you know. And that felt pretty good. I probably won't be adding weight to these anytime soon. I'll probably hit between 12 to 15 reps and then start using my dip belt again. Once again, still acclimating to the weights I used to use, but I'm just trying to not rush the process, even though I have these numbers in my brain, like using 80-pound dumbbell press and 55 pounds for incline dumbbell press and such. But I'm really trying to go into this new year and these training cycles with not just weight in mind, but quality and quantity of reps and sets, and really trying to not focus on the weight because I think that's what was slowing down my progress. If I wasn't hitting the weight for a certain amount of reps, or I couldn't get one rep more than last week, it really just like messed with my brain. So I'm trying to focus more on the quality and quantity and then up the weight as I go. So just trying to keep that in mind. And then barbell accessory, stuff, squat bench deadlifts, and accessory squat bench deadlifts for barbell stuff. I'll keep in mind for weights and reps being used because I usually use like a percentage base for those. So yeah, that's the plan. Feeling pretty good, to be honest. We'll see how my shoulder feels tomorrow and the day after because I did piss it off on Wednesday, but that was just me being dumb. So yeah, comment, rate, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you want some online coaching, there's some stuff in the description below. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm starting to upload reels and other posts at least twice a day now. I'm really enjoying the stitching and sequences. I don't know. I just feel like putting myself out there a little bit more. Not in terms of like educational stuff because I already do that, but like my life and fitness experience stitched onto somebody else's take on a post. And it's just like me saying what's up, what's right, what's wrong. Not in terms of like calling out people. We have enough of those in the industry already, but I just feel like if they come from my perspective, hopefully you guys enjoy that. So I'll catch you guys next week for another training vlog. Peace.